Hi, I'm David. I own and operate Country Whatnot Gardens here outside of Rochester, Indiana, which is about an hour south of the Michigan state line. I grow 25 different species and varieties of bamboo, and today I'm going to be talking about pest management, and that includes deer. And while deer don't really eat bamboo, that doesn't stop them from biting it off, trying it, and spitting it out, which if you have a new bamboo plant and it's putting up shoots, you want to preserve those shoots. So look at some ways we can manage that. Right here, I have a shaker can. And inside it, if I can open it, let's see, there's holes about that big. And that orange powder right there is cayenne pepper. Now that's not the average grocery store kitchen seasoning strength of cayenne pepper. This stuff is hot. This is 90 to 100,000 Scoville units. I aim for that range. I believe this particular one is 90,000. You can get it by pound increments on Amazon. That's where I get that from. Now, if you have leaves or you have a surface with a heavy dew or that you can sprinkle with a watering can, you can take this and you can just sprinkle that right on the leaves and it'll stick. And I find that it's good to a rain or two, if it's a light rain, before you have to reapply. It'll stick. It forms kind of a scab on the plant, so to speak. Now, let's say you have a dormant plant, tree peonies, for example, like these over here. Let me pick my stuff up and come over here. I have some tree peonies over here. Now, last fall, I've had tree peonies for better than 20 years, and they grew in this spot right here. And I still do have some there, but I dug them up and divided them and spread them out. And keep in mind, those have been there for better than 20 years, unbothered by deer. The deer never touched them. I dug them up, moved them 20 feet, and the deer were on them like they were hotcakes. What they were doing was they were coming along, and right after they were moved, they were biting off, going down the stems and biting off the new little red buds for spring. Now, my camera just unfocused. Let's see. There we go. New little red bud right there for spring. They're going right down the stems and stripping them. So I took cayenne pepper. I had more than this when I was doing all the tree peonies, but I'm just using a small amount right now so that I don't waste it. And Dawn dish soap. And you're going to say, well, how much of each? And honestly, I don't have measurements I go by. I'm sorry. I know some people are really concerned with measurements. I'm not. The goal here is to mix it together until you have a paste. So if it's too dry, add more dish detergent. If it's too wet, add more cayenne. Till you have a paste like this. And it's a wooden popsicle stick. And I took it and I just put it right on these little buds. And yes, I did that to every single bud on every single tree peony out here in the garden because the deer were eating these like they were candy. Now, the cayenne has long worn off, but the deer have not tried them again. Now, if the deer were to try them again, yeah, I would do it all over again to save my peonies because tree peonies are respectfully for everything a nursery has to go through to propagate them, and the amount of time it takes are expensive, costly, and rightly so, because it takes a long time for a nursery to be able to produce tree peonies. But anyway, let's say you then have buds on something like this Hamilton spindle tree down the way. Now, deer do seem to love it. So before long, I will probably be sprinkling these. Now, I have noticed that in years past, that deer do not seem to go for these until the leaves are further out and nice and succulent. So it is a windy day today, so unfortunately I can't show you how I would take the shaker can and sprinkle it on on the leaves. It would go everywhere. You want to apply cayenne pepper when it's loose like this, not when it's a paste like this on my wooden popsicle stick. You want to apply the loose powder on, of course, a windless day, and if there is a slight breeze, obviously stand upwind of it. And also, I would say if you have small kids in your garden, if you have small children, I wouldn't use this either, because it could, if they touch a plant and then touch their eyes or something, it could be very, very painful for them, and you don't want that. And it could last, you know, upwards of 20 minutes, and that's a long time to a little kid, so you don't want to risk that. But anyway, right now you can take this, and if deer were being a problem on this, you could go along and you could just streak this kind of up the stem, if you could get it to stick, something like that. Even just rub it on there a little bit, get enough on there for them to get a good a good taste of. But usually what I do for deer, until a plant gets so tall anyway, is that I will put 4-foot chicken wire around it, and that protects it from deer and rabbits. 4 foot seems to be the height that white-tailed deer are usually more apt to leave something alone growing out of. Not that they still can't, because they will absolutely grab these and pull them down and eat the succulent leaves off of them after this gets leafed out, and even take some tips off of branches, as they did down here a couple years ago, right there. But there are things you can do to keep deer away. And back to the shaker can, you can put cayenne pepper like this in a shaker can. Let's see, where do I want to go? I want to go find a liriope. I've got just the one. Deer are hit or miss when it comes to eating liriope, I find. They'll eat it in some locations, and in other locations they won't. Right here, I have a variety of liriope called Pita ingot, and it's a yellow to chartreuse variety. And if you wanted to keep deer and rabbits away from it, I have chicken wire over it, but just for good measure, you can take it and shake that cayenne on here too. And I kind of have this rock blocking the wind, and you can see how it lands on there, even on the narrow foliage, how it collects. And this is fine. This doesn't hurt the liriope any. I've done this lots with my liriope. You can see the wind's kind of trying to still blow the pepper. It's just really windy today. But this is something that you could apply even to your regular garden plants: corn, tomatoes, beans, anything like that. And of course, if you don't like cayenne pepper, you're not going to want to apply it right before harvest. But it does keep pests from eating your plants. Now, back to the subject of deer and bamboo. Deer will not eat bamboo, I find, but that doesn't keep them from clipping off new shoots and just to try it and spitting it out. Anytime you have introduced something new, any new plant material into deer habitat, even if that is your own backyard, they're going to try it. So even if they don't like it, and the plant is unfortunately just as dead and just as severed, whether or not they swallow the piece they bite off or where they spit it out on the ground next to the plant they bit it off of. So what I do is I'll often wrap a new bamboo plant, a small one at least, in chicken wire, and then watch it as the shoots emerge. And as the shoots emerge, I will, if the shoots are wet for this powder to stick to, I'll use loose cayenne powder. Or if not, then I'll use the paste that I make with the cayenne powder and Dawn dish soap. But it works, and deer get accustomed to a lot of things. You'll hear tales of people using human hair or Irish Spring bar soap or pie pans, mirrors, bells. Deer get used to all that in their habitat. They get used to it. The only thing I have found they do not get used to, for me, it may vary for you, is the cayenne pepper. They simply do not like it. It's too hot. They're not into the whole Southwest flavored food, I guess. But this is something that I use on tree peonies since last fall, since they started bothering it. I use it on my liriope. I have used it on bamboo shoots before in the past. I use it on Asiatic and Oriental lilies when they come up. I use it on garden vegetables sometimes as well. I use it on euonymus. I've used it on all kinds of things. It's good for any number of things I have found, and I have been using it for years. So anyway, if you have deer and rabbits in your garden or your landscape and you want to keep them away, I suggest the cayenne pepper. Like I say, unless you have small kids, then of course I wouldn't recommend it unless you can keep them from touching the plants, then touching their eyes, because you just don't want that. I've experienced that myself when it's been windy and I have been on the side of a plant putting that pepper on there, and then the wind might change directions or swirl around in a different way, and you just get a little bit in your eyes, and it can burn for a good 20 minutes, even just a little bit. But anyway, I hope that's been helpful. And if you like the video, please like, subscribe, and share. I'd really appreciate it. Until next time, take care, and thank you for stopping by. Bye.